Kyle Larson and Hendrick Motorsports had taken the difficult choice to forego the start of the Coca-Cola 600 and instead run the whole Indianapolis 500. But it cost him a lot, even so much that if NASCAR wants, they could deny him a playoff spot according to the rules. So why risk it all? What was there to win for Larson, who is a true NASCAR driver? Larson intended to avoid this predicament in his attempt to become the sixth driver to accomplish the double. 1,100 miles of racing in one day between IndyCar's Crown Jewel event at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and NASCAR's longest race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, weather postponed the start of the Indy 500, forcing Larson to pick between two events. He currently qualified for the NASCAR Cup playoffs after winning twice this year, but NASCAR requires drivers to compete in every race in order to remain eligible. The weather meant Kyle Larson's ambition of accomplishing the double was crushed, but the driver of the Num 17 Aero McLaren Dallara Chevrolet led laps en route to an 18th place finish in his maiden Indianapolis 500 on Sunday at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. By staying out when the leaders approached pit road late in the race, Larson was able to take the lead with 21 laps remaining. Larson, on the other hand, was forced to pit for service and lost the lead with 17 laps remaining. "I'd love to be back next year," Larson stated after the race. "I feel like I learned a lot throughout the race. Made a couple of mistakes early there with the restart. Not sure what I did wrong there. I somehow got myself into third gear, and then felt like I did a really good job on the restarts and was able to learn a lot. Definitely feel good about knowing what I would need different for the balance to help runs and stuff. Obviously, I smoked the left front on the green flag stop and killed our opportunity. Proud to finish, but pretty upset with myself. Just could have executed a better race. You don't know what could have happened. Yeah, bummed at myself, but huge thank you to Aero McLaren, Hendrick Motorsports, Hendrick Automotive Group, Rick Hendrick, Chevrolet, Valvoline, everybody that's a part of this. We'll go hop on the jet and see if I can get into the 600 somehow." After finishing the Indy 500, Larson flew to North Carolina and landed just as a strong rainstorm hit around 100 minutes after the Indianapolis 500. A chopper landed outside Charlotte Motor Speedway. A golf cart sped through the infield. Then came the moment that NASCAR fans had been waiting for all day. Kyle Larson, the equal parts modest and spectacular NASCAR driver, hopped off of the golf cart and half-walked/half flew to the number 5 team's pit box, ready to race anything but time. But then came the lightning hold, the yellow caution, the rain, finally the decision. NASCAR called the Coca-Cola 600 at 11:30 p.m., some 2 hours after the cars had been covered on pit road with 151 laps remaining. He would have climbed into the Hendrick Motorsports car if the race had continued, but NASCAR did not resume the event and declared it over after 249 of 400 laps had been completed. Christopher Bell won, and Larson, who had endured a 4-hour delay at the Indianapolis 500 and then traveled 2 hours to Concord in search of the double, the greatest racing honor, could only sit and watch the rain. On Sunday, time won. Larson's day ended on a sour note, as the same rain system impacted both tracks. "I'm very, very thankful for the experience, obviously. Everything about the 2 weeks at Indy and all that was great until today," Larson said about the 2 weeks of practice and qualifying lead up to the Indy 500, his first IndyCar race. "It's just sad. Everything that could have went wrong today, went wrong. Hopefully I get to do it again in the future and hopefully the weather is better." Larson, the Cup Series points leader going into the event, will need a dispensation from NASCAR, since Cup regulations require a driver to start every race of the regular season to be eligible for the playoffs. While NASCAR did not make a formal statement on the waiver Sunday night, it would be unusual if Hendrick had retained Larson at the 500 if he wasn't certain of receiving one. Because Allgaier started the race, even if Larson had gotten into the car, he would have received no points for the event, whereas the winner could have received a maximum of 70 points and 8 playoff points. Both significant numbers, given that those points could mean the difference in advancing if a driver struggles in a playoff round. Larson stated that he was part of the decision to stay in Indianapolis and bemoaned a day in which he finished 18th in one race and did not gain points that he might have utilized in another. Was staying in Indianapolis worth it? "I locked my brakes and sped on pit road, so I didn't make it worth it," Larson stated. "I'm just mad at myself, mad at the situation." Larson's commitment with Aero McLaren to run the Indy 500 is for 2 years, and he aims to do the double again next year, becoming the 6th driver to complete both races in one day. NASCAR would have contemplated postponing the start of Sunday's race by 15 30 minutes if Larson was near to starting the 600, but when it became evident he wouldn't, NASCAR began its longest race of the season as scheduled, with Larson still competing at Indianapolis. "It just sucks, man," Larson admitted. "I don't think they've had a delay there at Indy in how long?" To even get there, Larson had to hurry from a vehicle to a helicopter to a plane, then from a helicopter to a golf cart to the number 5 team's pit stall at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where his substitute driver, Justin Allgaier, awaited him. The goal was for Larson to drive the number 5 car and finish the race. He'd still need a waiver to stay in the NASCAR playoffs, but Larson was determined to finish the race, according to Allgaier. "My job was unique today," Allgaier told reporters after all the racing was done, but before the event was called, still convinced the day wasn't finished. "Kyle Larson is the reason that we're all here. The double is so important. My only job was, keep the fenders on it, keep it as far forward as we can, make sure that we have the great opportunity to get back in it. And if it was 5 laps to go, or if it's a rain delay like it is currently, or if it was on lap 5, my job was to make sure that I handed over a clean race car. I'm excited to see what Kyle does in it," he added. But Larson never climbed inside. Once the rain fell, neither did Brad Keselowski, who finished second, nor William Byron, who finished third. What are the benefits for the latter? They at least got the opportunity to race the rain, something Larson never did. "It's just sad," Larson told Fox Sports as he exited the racetrack, trying to mask his frustration in a wry smile. "Everything that could have gone wrong today went wrong. I hope I get to do it again in the future, and hopefully the weather is better next time." This is not how Larson or Hendrick Motorsports envisioned or anticipated the day to unfold when his intentions were disclosed in January 2023. It's also not how everyone expected it to go a week ago, when Larson arrived at North Wilkesboro Speedway a few minutes before the NASCAR All-Star race, to a fan fist-pumping frenzy after qualifying 5th for the 2024 Indy 500. Other drivers, like Kurt Busch in 2014 and Tony Stewart in 1999 and 2001, tried the double, the shorthand for running the 1,100 miles of the Indy 500, IndyCar, followed by the Coca-Cola 600, NASCAR. But few, if any, have equaled Larson's enthusiasm. Before starting the Indy 500 from the 5th starting position, the fans felt it. Could Larson win both? However, such doubts were answered before Sunday's race began, and terrible weather was to blame, bookending a day that never quite seemed complete. And if that wasn't enough, Larson had his own mistakes during the race as well, resulting in an 18th place finish. Guess we'll have to wonder for the remainder of the year if Larson could have at least won one of both races if things hadn't gone this sour. But as he said, he'll try it again next year, and if the weather won't stop him, he'll have a good shot of producing one of the, if not the best, double result in history. Don't you think? What are your thoughts on Larson's decision? Do you find it justified he decides to stay at the Indy 500, even though he knew he wasn't going to make the Coca-Cola 600 start? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.